In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to work with tabs when you're working with paragraph text or a text box. So to do that, I'm going to go to page 2 here. I've got the sample here. I'll come back to that in a moment. First thing I'll do is I'll show you how to create a text box and then how to apply tabs to that text box. So I'll just zoom into the top of this page here and I'll create a text box, and to do that I'll just click on this flyout here. I click on paragraph text. You'll see our cursor changes. I'll left click and I'll drag that out, let go, and that creates a text box. So now we've got this text box, we want to apply some tabs to it. And we've got some options here. The first one is just to do it manually. In the top left hand corner you'll see that little blue triangle. If you left click on that, which you'll see it says create a new tab, so we just come in and left click on that and drag it out. You can see we can create a tab manually like so. We'll see a preview of it and its position. Let go of that and that's created a tab. Now to create or to use a tab, what we can do is just type in some text and then we can just press tab on our keyboard, and that pushes the cursor out to the tab, as you can see, and we can type in another piece of text, and we can keep creating manual tabs by simply left clicking on that and dragging it, and press tab on the keyboard again, type in some text, and that's how we can manually create tabs. Now if we want to delete tabs, if I just say remove that text and I want to get rid of this tab here, I can just simply left click on it and drag it off the text box, and that's gone. That tab's now gone. So that's how we add tabs manually and remove them. You can also add tabs evenly at preset distances, and to do that's pretty easy. You go up to this button up here, this flyout, come down and click on default tab stops, and we just type in the measurement. So let's say we want to space them apart every inch, type in 1, click OK, and you can see now we've got a tab every inch. If we also want to set these tabs evenly, because as you can see up here they're not evenly set here, this one doesn't quite match, what we can do is go to Node Edit mode, so click on Node Edit, and you'll see all these tools come up in the second row of tools here. And this button here, distribute evenly, click on that. You can now see that these tabs are now evenly spread out across this text box as so. So I can position these anywhere I like, and if I'm unhappy with the positioning I can just set them evenly as so. Now I can delete the whole lot of these tabs in one hit by just clicking on this button here. That clears all the tabs out. Undo that, it brings them all back, as you can see. So that's how we add tabs and how we remove tabs. And tabs are a very handy thing. As you can see down here, they're great for laying out particular repetitive work like this, where we've got the same sorts of things being reset. So they're ideal for menu boards and price lists and all these sorts of things. And it's just a matter of positioning them visually like so. Or you can actually come in here and type in a numeric value if you want to change these things numerically. You can do that as well. So we get these extra tools up here. So that's an example of a simple type text box with tabs. But occasionally you want to do some more advanced things. So on page 3 here I'll show you some of those more advanced things you can do. So just zoom into this area here. Now here we can see that we've got this text box here with these tabs, and I'll actually drag that out. I'll squash that in. I'll just bring that back like that. This you'll see this little tab here, this little node here. If I hover my mouse over there, you can see it says adjust bullet indent, and that's for setting our bullets, which there's another lesson on that you can watch. So as far as tabs go, although it looks like a tab, it's actually just a bullet indent, but you can see the node's slightly different to these other tab nodes, as you can see. So okay, here we've got apples, oranges, bananas and mangoes, and it's all blocked left. Now if we want to block this text here right within the text box without sending the text box to block right, we can easily do that. We just select on the text box like so. We create ourselves a new tab. Oops, I'll just go to Node Edit mode and drag that out. I'll just go past this point here, so I can then just go into text mode and I'll just tab these out. And what I've effectively done is I've created a spare tab here, as you can see, which hasn't affected this because I've just moved it back out, and I can readjust any of this as I need to, as you can see. Okay, so I want to block all these to the right. That's very easy. I just need to change the type of tab I'm using. If I left click on that, that's a left tab. To do that, I come up to this Docker and I click on that, and you can see I've got my properties. So I normally can see my objects and my properties. I just click on this button here just to show my properties. Just slide over the left here a bit to show you, and you'll see text here. I click on that and fly that out, and I can see tabs do the same thing. I can fly out and see all these tabs here. So I can click on this tab here and you can see it's set to a left tab. If I click on this drop down, I can set that to a right tab. Okay, so that means when I tab these things out, like apples, oranges, bananas and mangoes, this now blocks to the right. Now I might want to bring this back here by just using my backspace, as you can see. And what I've effectively done, I can just bring those a bit closer, and I'll just readjust this one here. I can now see that if I zoom out a bit, I've now blocked this text to the right within a text box, even though everything's blocked left. So that's a right tab. So a default tab that when you create a tab, it's actually a left tab, as you can see there. Tab 2 is a left tab, and tab 1 here is a right tab, and that's how we can actually start doing some more advanced tools or more advanced options using our tabs. Another thing we can do, for example, is this tab here. If I drag this out with I just go to Node Edit Mode to make it easier, and I want to say set these to centered. For example, instead of saying abbreviating pound like that, I might actually have it written in as so, and I might have something like kilogram written here, or each, for example. Now I might want to say center these things to each other. So I click on this tab here, you can see it's a left tab. If I click on this drop down, I can make that a center tab, and you can see now the shape of the tab little node there has changed to represent a center tab. So I can block things to the right, as you can see here. I can block things to the left, and I can actually make things centered. So tabs are quite powerful if you start using some of these more advanced tools. You can also do things like, for example, set it to the decimal. Now here you can see what's happening. We've got these parts here, and we've blocked left. If I go into text mode here, you can see that these are all blocked left, these dollar amounts here. But if I wanted to make that a little bit more easier on the eye to read, I can just duplicate that. I'll just show you what I mean by that. I'll drag that out. What I can do here is change this tab here. I'll go to Node Edit Mode. I'll click on this tab, and I'll make this a decimal tab. So I'll come down and I'll make this a decimal tab. I'll just drag that out as so, and I'll zoom out, and you can now see, I'll just push those off so it's a little bit clearer, and move that across. You can now see the difference between these two. You now have it with the version of it blocked left and the version of it to the decimal. So you've got this sort of control with tabs. You can have decimal tabs, you can have tabs that are blocked to the right, blocked to the left, and centered. Now you can even take it one step further and actually use a custom tab. So I can actually say change this decimal here. I'll just change this back. I'll use this one as the example. Let's say I change that to say an asterisk, as so. And I wanted to use an asterisk as my tab. I can even do that. It's quite an advanced concept, this. So at the moment, I've got my tab blocked as a left tab. If I change it to say a custom tab, and I tell it what I need to go in here and tell it what tab that is, or tab character is an asterisk, and I press enter, you can now see that when I go into Node Edit Mode and drag this out, you can now see that the asterisk rather than the decimal is used as the tab. So you can actually set a custom tab quite easily, and you can use that, any character you can use as a custom tab that you can type on the keyboard. So tabs are quite powerful, and you can do a lot with them. And if you go to page 4 here, you can see the sorts of things we've done here. So if I go into my text box, you can see this is a right tab here, and by using a right tab I can fill it up with these little dots, as you can see, and get this effect going on. And you often see this effect in on like pizza boards like this. This is quite a common effect. So it's just a matter of using the right tab and setting it out like that. So that gives you an idea of the sorts of things you can do with tabs. And of course, this all depends on the artwork you're working with and the sorts of things you're trying to achieve. But by using the properties here with tabs, and then the second row of tools, and you can actually set the custom tab and different types of tabs here when you're in Node Edit Mode, and you've got a text box selected with tabs in it. You get all these tools up here, as I've shown you just before, and you use them in combination with your property inspector. You can really do a lot with tabs. You can create some quite fancy effects and set out menu boards and pricing charts and do all sorts of things like that. So that's how tabs work, and that's the end of this lesson.